All right. Thanks for hopping on, Dave.
Sure.
Excited to have you try out Pieces, and I'll let you take it away, share your screen, and go through the onboarding.
All right. So I assume if I just Google this.
We are the second one there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I was pretty sure. All right. So install now. Sure. Go for the whole thing here.
essentially, you're just downloading two separate things. Pieces OS runs on the operating system to power the desktop application as well as the various plugins. Yeah. That's just a couple extra button clicks.
We're about done.
Yeah, we've just created a new onboarding sequence. I know I've been pushing out this meeting, but curious to get your thoughts on it.
I work on a SaaS platform myself, so I know how valuable these kind of experiences can be. Whoa. All right. I'm like a really bad database guy and mediocre at the rest of these. So let's see. Sure.
It's a lot of languages.
Been at it a long time.
So first time using Pieces. Tell me what you think about the layout. What do you know what you're looking at? Walk me through what you're thinking.
Well, let's see. Looking at some sort of node service here, but I'm seeing this demo here. Okay. I get it. All right. This code sets up a server. I get it. Okay. Docker compose. Hey, that'd be nice. I can't tell you how many times like I'm stealing stuff out of different compose files for X, Y, or Z, or even just to look up what's the YAML spacing for, is this an array or is it a single thing?
Sort of the feature that I was talking about where you can pull out code snippets from an existing repo to fill your database, your Pieces repository a little bit quicker, since the more things you save, the better your AI Copilot will generate more contextual results.
Gotcha. So is that where some of that compose, like that demo thing on the left came from?
Yeah, I think that's the same technology when you inserted your repo.
I was like, that would make sense because I probably saw all that stuff in there. Cool. That's awesome. Let's see. I was just working on a proof of concept thing. We'll see what it does with this. So in theory, I had something. Oh, nice. All right. So now when I hop back in here, oh, it's still got this stuff out. I can't get through all this stuff fast enough. I'm waiting to like see them all kind of work together.
Yeah. It pays off to integrate multiple tools with Pieces because, like I said, Pieces OS is running in the background, powers all of these things. So it's learning from your entire workflow. So yeah, here's the Chrome extension. It's got a little demo. If you hover over this code snippet, you'll see some buttons pop up.
Oh, nice. I've actually had to search Stack Overflow for this one a few times. Use it. You'll end up finding something every couple of years for that. Let's see. This is doing JSON object decopy. Let's give it a softball here. That take into account case sensitive properties. The object. Wait. Let's see. You'd be able to provide an updated example of this code that does account case sensitive properties. Of course, I don't want to do it.
Why would you? Thinking. You are using the 3.5 model here, I believe. You can choose the LLM here if you wanted some different results and test it out, but
the 16K turbo or whatever it is on 3.5 stumped it. Oh, what are all these things? Copy message, regenerate. All right, it's busy. I'm gonna see what's going on over here.
You can go over to the if you X out of this and go into your Copilot in the desktop application.
Okay, got it.
All these GIFs are outdated.
Oh, sweet. That's interesting. And that would be super helpful because I'm like habitually having way too many windows open and not remembering where I was or like what I was doing 20 minutes ago.
Have you tried other AI tools? I know most of them are geared towards autocomplete, but do you find any benefit in being able to query the AI for different reasons just to...
I really only use like for the autocomplete or like having it stub out stuff. That's really been the biggest thing. And even after that, it seems to be like more beneficial if I'm working on a lot of consistent projects where we're doing the same thing in the same language for the same reasons. So I've had to like remember that when I'm switching between stuff, which this, like for me personally, I do a decent amount of freelance work on the side. So you never know what you're going to get. It's just old stuff, new stuff, totally different languages, whatever. So it's great if you're like the guy in charge of all these things. But if you get stuff that's all patchwork together, it's not always like the smoothest experience if you're having the Copilot drum up all your code right away. And it's, oh, wait, that was from a different project, or that was using a different set of standards because this is 15-year-old code or something. So yeah, it just depends. If you're like rapid fire getting through some stuff that's really predictable, or my 9 to 5 job, for example, we have standards. We do things a particular way. And it's great for that kind of stuff where it's just, I got to hammer through all this boring stuff. In this context, when I'm like writing my own stuff or just doing POC work or exploring new things, having the AI right here is going to be super helpful. Or if it's like a monster project, having some automated eyes to give you a sense of what's going on. So a lot of time it'll take you a while to pick apart somebody else's code or figure out
Right.
how in the world did this get set up.
Yeah. Obviously, selecting an entire folder takes a while.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could try to go
Yeah.
into a specific file and select a snippet or maybe a smaller repo file.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I could even skip back to like a smaller subset of this stuff. Let's see. Probably this one's going to be all right. Yeah. Hey, yeah, it was a good suggestion. Because like I was just saying, I have to pick apart somebody else's code. Let's see what it thinks I'm doing.
Yeah, I was just speaking to another developer who worked on a lot of open source projects, and you're introduced to these repositories that have all different sorts of contributors. You're not sure what's going on. And so being able to quickly understand either the whole thing or specific parts within it is helpful to get you up and running.
Oh, I didn't think about that. So since this is in my local Git repo, is it going to be able to see all the Git content as well?
Yeah, it should.
Intriguing. So I wonder if it would even sniff some of that out and tell me, here's what I think the code is, but here's what, Bob, who wrote this, said in the commits.
I believe so. If you are, yeah, I believe that Git information is passed over to Pieces. For example, the workflow activity, you saw a power tip on that. It'll show commits from other people, and that helps to enrich your code with related people metadata as well.
Hey, it hit the nail on the head.
Nice. Can you see this being something that you would use in your daily workflow?
Oh, absolutely. Just the fact that it like totally nailed the description there. Like it's super high level, but yeah, it's wow, that's awesome. Deployment process, status of deployments, the source of the deployments. So yeah, just yeah, for reference. So this thing is we have a problem, or not necessarily a problem, but in the industry, there's generally a problem of you might have, say, GitHub or Bitbucket or whatever your source is, and then you've got infrastructure to run it. So like you might use Jenkins or AWS or Azure DevOps or something, but almost nobody uses those things exclusively, right? Like you might even have somebody that has to manually go run some sort of deployment periodically. And there's not a great way to track all that or visually observe it. So it's, hey, just tell me what's the status of everything. And that's what was going on here. The application meant to just be a database of like how your application got to be where it is. So yeah, it nailed it totally. And and I know because I wrote the thing that I put barely any comments in there. So
Yeah,
that's super slick.
this is yeah. If you tried to paste in all of the content from the context that you set here into ChatGPT or something like that, it's the context window simply wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be able to generate a response at all.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if there's any other good options in here that I know well enough to actually be like, yeah, that's right. There's tons in here. All right, cool. So especially so, and for me on the front end, I'm like a back end guy. I don't do a ton with UI and UX. This is going to be super helpful when I get into the UI stuff here. So I'm going to see what it can tell me about these things. 'Cause I'm awful with the front end. I could be like, hey, can you tell me where in these files go to manage my account? Probably don't have the right verbiage there. So those are just HTML views anyway. And I bet it would have been at the controller. I'll try that again here. That's another one, especially when you're dealing with terminology and nomenclature in between applications. Like there's all those super ambiguous words like portal and even the word app at times. Things that you dread typing into Google or Stack Overflow because you're going to get about a million different wrong answers for things you're not even talking about. And just being able to say, hey, I know somewhere in this app there's a thing that does XYZ.
Not having to search through a bunch of code for it.
But yeah, and I don't even know what to call it. Form validation, input, information or context. So yeah, in that sense, there's some things with the word account in them or that I would have hoped it would have found or been able to intuit that you might try here. It's got the word account in it. Not that you couldn't do a find or something like that, but yeah, there should have been a few things you would think. Let's see. Although there's probably not really a whole lot to manage yet. I think it's just logging in and out and going to a profile.
Yeah, so you see this code lens above the word authorize on line 108.
Yeah.
We also insert those buttons to help add inline comments easily, explain code that you're not sure of.
Oh, interesting. Cool. So the comment is it's generating something for me in terms of tell me about this.
So it's taking that entire sort of section and adding it into the context for the Copilot is going to do the same thing which you can do in the desktop application Copilot's view, where it'll add inline comments. Now, I'm surprised it didn't pull it into a little block here. It didn't recognize it as code, it looks like. If you select that code up to from there to 108 and then right click, maybe there's some interesting options here. You can ask the Copilot about it.
Okay.
You might need to adjust the context. So you can
Oh, sure.
you should be able to add context to this conversation. Maybe it's in there, maybe it's in the bottom left.
This thing?
Oh, here, there you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would make sense. So in this conversation, let me scroll up here. Is there like an easy way to understand what's in scope of the context here? Or is it just what's strictly at the top of the chat right now because it's like just starting?
Yes, I believe if you select context again on the bottom, it should say, what does it say? Snippet. If you click snippets, it doesn't have a visual indicator, does it?
But
Okay. Yeah. When you're in the desktop application, there will be an indicator of what's set as context, whether that's a snippet you have saved or you see that blue dot on the last conversation that had it. But the button to the left of your chat box there,
oh, this guy.
to the right a little bit. Yeah. Yep. That's it.
Okay. Got it.
So then if you add something to context, even if it's a message in a chat, which can
Yeah.
help avoid hallucinations with some longer conversations.
Yeah. For example, let's say I log out for the day, come back tomorrow in here. I'm looking at this. I can tell this big blue thing up here is what we're talking about. But let's say this conversation drags out for a couple weeks and becomes a little more involved. Is there
Mhm.
any way to understand what it's focusing on in terms of providing a useful response?
Yeah, if you click on go hover over the snippet on the list view on the left or
Mm.
over the conversation, and those three dots should be able to generate a summary of the conversation.
Oh, nice. Okay, sweet. That'll be also super handy as like a refresher. I get a lot of kind of context switching fatigue. No pun intended. Human variety. Like today, putting out fires, where you jump between 5 or 6 things in pretty rapid succession. So having that to come back to is going to be super nice.
Yeah, and you mentioned picking up where you left off earlier with the workflow activity. Try clicking that drop down button where the Copilot icon is in the top left.
This one.
Yep. And then check out workflow activity so that you might find this useful.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is basically becoming your browser history.
Right. So it'll track not just the things that you're interacting with, but everything that you save, reference, and the enrichments along with it. It mentions the
That
context that's being added as you save things.
that just made me think, and not in a nefarious way. You guys have a feature to say, "Hey, don't keep this in my history."
Yeah, we are doing a lot to be able to avoid anything that's irrelevant, right? Truly, we only want the most valuable things in your workflow, and we do score things. You could see top materials on the right side there. Those are
Yeah.
scored by things that you're interacting with more. So if something's completely irrelevant, yeah, we're not gonna track it.
All right. So from a more security oriented perspective, so I work in industry where SOC compliance and like HIPAA and other stuff is relevant. Is there any sort of either filtering or ways to like obfuscate or otherwise say, hey, it's great that we can keep track of all this, but can you not keep anything that looks suspect? I do my part to redact or otherwise substitute with fake data or that kind of stuff. But is there any sort of lens into that world yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think hiding secrets or just not using secrets in the context of your conversations or things like that is something that our machine learning team is focusing on a lot. But all of your data is stored on device and it's all processed on device. You don't ping the cloud at all, except for a few minor features. But yeah, where would you be worried about this information showing up since it's not being stored in the cloud? Is this something that you just wouldn't want showing up in your personal workflow activity or
Not I'm not genuinely worried about it myself, but more as like for our audit perspectives. So they will put a fine tooth comb through everything
Mhm.
and they'll want to say, hey, I need to make sure that the tools you're using aren't storing things they shouldn't. And that if you do store anything of that nature, that we can ensure it's up to snuff with whatever compliance specifications you have, whether that be like SOC or PCI even, or I'm trying to think of what the other one is, the big one that we do.
GDPR?
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna bug me. We've gone through a lot of acquisitions recently, so I'm
ISO?
constantly bombarded with all the different ones.
Yeah, there's a lot. Uh,
Anyway, yeah.
we are
Uh,
SOC 2 compliant, so hopefully that helps, but we're starting to talk to enterprises and
high
learning from
trust.
them
Yeah, that was it.
what
Sorry.
they need, and it's a new world out there, right?
Yeah,
Enterprises realize the need to use AI, but they're worried about compliance and where their data is going, and so we've taken a very local first approach, and we're still learning what other things are needed, but at the basic level, all of your data is stored on device, and you can use local large language models like Mistral and Llama 2, so that even when you're talking to Pieces Copilot, you're not worried about your data being trained on the LLM.
but yeah, and that was more of a, hey, I understand this and I appreciate it, but I also like if I have to pitch this tool to our like CTO or whoever for, hey, let's get our teams using this kind of stuff,
Mhm.
that's immediately what's going to come up within the first 5 minutes.
Right. I'd love to talk to your legal team if that's the case, just so we can understand what are the strict requirements that they have. What can we present to them that will help them trust us?
Sure. And when it gets to that point, absolutely can bring in like our security compliance person to formulate these questions in the right way. I'm
Yeah.
regurgitating what I hear from them, but
I want them to rip it to shreds. We're trying to prove
right.
ourselves. Yeah. In terms of like secure environments, there's a big gap, and I think Pieces is positioned well to be able to handle that.
But yeah, overall, not to diverge anyway, but my whole mindset just shifted a second there when I saw that the history. I was like, it's starting to feel more like using a browser, natural in that sense. That's what made me think of like oh, how do you get rid of stuff out of your history? Or how do you do these things? What is this akin to in Chrome, except
Right.
except Copilot? Um,
Yeah. The things that are extracted, the machine learning models that are extracting all of that information are on device. They just run on Pieces OS. And so all of that information you can just find in your Finder.
Sweet. So like global search, presumably this is like all of the sum of your contexts that you provided.
Right. So global search, the goal here is to not only find snippets that you have saved, but also related materials. So you're trying to find one of those Chrome browser tabs that you closed down a couple weeks ago, and instead of looking through your history, find the snippet that it's related to, or use global search to identify that URL directly.
So when I go to, let's find a dumb one. Let's see, since we're just in an MVC app, C.NET station method, and just arbitrarily throw something in here. Let's see what the answer was. Oh, here's the, yes, there we go. Let's see, copy and save. So let's see, get out of here, come back tomorrow and say, oh, I know I'm moving really quick, but let's see. Or what did I say? Authorization? Or yeah.
Looks like that second one is it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. And then this
The
was
sources right there as well.
so this is interesting. Is this a thing that I added to Pieces, or is this like
Yeah, that's the code you saved.
okay. I moved a little too fast there. I was like, I was pretty sure that was it, but I couldn't tell if it was like actually previewing the solution. Good to know. All right. So then let's see. This was the saved materials. Yeah. Sweet. Oh, that's gonna be like a huge time saver. Even Chat GPT, which I have opening. So I've noticed they have problems with a lot of stuff. Shoot, this isn't my personal one. Yeah, we don't starting a cult things at my real job back when this was new. I broke it with this one. But anyway, I've seen it where on some of these it comes back and in the history it will have converted it to a different human language. Some of these will be in French. I'm like, I never once have spoken French. I don't even know really how to, or not having that same kind of context. Yeah,
And you could
that'd be
say
awesome.
the Chrome extension works in GPT as well. If you choose to use that, I don't know why you would for code if you have pieces, because we got more
Right.
context, more models to choose from. But yeah, you can hover over any code snippet and save it quickly, so that will link right back to that chat. Same thing with the VS Code extension. If you hover over a code snippet, select it, right click, save to pieces, then we will provide an anchor in the enrichments.
Brings up an interesting question or kind of like tangent. So we do have, OpenAI logins and credentials for everybody. As we also use the API for like some kind of our home page stuff. Is there like an easy way to programmatically migrate stuff?
Yeah. So go into the Copilot chats drop down.
Shoot,
Yeah.
am I in the right one? Okay,
Yeah. With that Copilot
there we go.
chats. And then on the bottom left where it says GPT 3.5 Turbo, select that. And then OpenAI. And you can just enter in your API key right there.
Oh, nice. And it'll just soak everything up. Sweet.
And then of course we have those on-device models as well. If you're sounds like you're not worried about using cloud models if you're using OpenAI at your job, but
I guess so that would have been filtered through what Microsoft offers it or whatever their GPT implementation is. Forgetting what the name of it is at the moment. But anyway, under the hood, it's the same thing.
okay.
So let's see. Huh. Awesome. I was like, yeah, just like you said, why would you use that if you had this? So you wouldn't unless you wanted to go see all your old stuff. So you just have to get it out of there.
Yeah. And I'm interested in, you said you saved a lot of snippets in AWS.
Yeah, let me take a look here. So let's see. I can remember what one of these is. Search for a load balancer. Probably. Yeah. So I get like all these little tiny one-off functions that I need to run. So it'll have this big long list of functions that you're doing, and you can invoke these like Lambda scripts in here. So you say, hey, go update the server. But between here and there, run this one little script on the server to clean some stuff up or provision a new service and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So I'm curious if you copy that or if you select that and right click and save it to pieces, I wonder if it'll link right back to this position in AWS.
For this one, I bet you it will. There's going to be some other ones where probably it may, but it would require you be logged in. Some of them, like they may generate like a unique ID on some of these that rotates as you update the versions. But we'll see. So let's see. I want to go back in here. So let's see. What is the oh, did I like not add the whole thing or save it wrong?
Yeah, let's try that again. That's interesting.
So in this particular window too, I know they've got their own kind of sets of controls and like event responders happening that have been screwy in the past where I've tried to inspect stuff or do other things where it just broke. You might be at the mercy of some of their handlers. Yeah. So yeah, some of these things, let's like try this one, for example. I bet you this one will probably have something similar happen. Oh yeah, because they've even taken out all the right click.
You can copy and then just focus on pieces and save it. Not as
Oh,
quick.
sure.
Well, but just try Command V.
Nothing. Yeah, probably add snippet. Oh, hey, there we go.
Just took a second.
Hey, there we go.
Nice. So if you open the enrichment view in pieces there, the hamburger menu on the right side, about halfway down the page. No, not that one. Yeah, that one. This will show you all of your enrichments.
Sweet. Well, yeah, that especially come in super handy. There's a lot of these things where you get these curated default templates set up by Amazon that either don't have any comments, or this probably speaks to my like technical coding capabilities where they've made it hyper efficient, where you'll have a Python statement that if I wrote it would take a paragraph, but they've condensed it down to 10 characters somehow. Yeah, that's going to be nice.
Yeah. So if you use the Chrome extension to save it, the origin website would be captured in the related links there. And we also use on-device machine learning models to find other related links that can help you further your project, learn more about the snippet, things like that. And you see the anchors there. If you were to select a snippet from VS Code or Obsidian or another tool, we would link right back to the position in the repository so you don't have to do a bunch of searching.
Oh, nice. So even if you forgot about the AI for a minute, like just being able to capture stuff and collect it this way is, I'm starting to wonder if I've been doing something wrong my like whole career. Like, how did I live without something like this? So kudos there. I'm like a little dumbstruck as far as I'm just trying to envision all the ways this is going to be like helpful, and it's overwhelming right now. Yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed, and I will absolutely be sharing this today. Hopefully
Awesome.
before people go home, because otherwise I'll be dealing with questions all day. This is going to be like a huge time saver and frustration saver for sure. So
Awesome.
awesome job. This is going to be just so cool.